The deal has been done, baby. So Israel and Hamas have come to some sort of agreement. And I want to say...
breaking news, dude.
Breaking news.
Netanyahu. Ceasefire deal still not reached.
Oh, see what I'm talking about here? There you go. And in 5 minutes, it may be reached. Doesn't matter. And that's how the ceasefire may go, by the way.
Yeah.
Hey, we got a ceasefire. 2 minutes later, somebody's been shot.
Exactly.
So, I mean, it's getting close. It's not getting close. They're probably haggling over who's coming back and who's not coming back.
Yeah.
Because there's some people over there, I'm sure, that they think, oh, we're going to get this hostage back. And they're like, yeah, we've got a problem.
Do we even know if they're alive?
Yeah, that's the big thing. How many of them are alive? Where are they, too? Because I think the assumption is they're all next door. Right. And I have a feeling there's some that are not next door.
Right.
So, I mean, do I expect this to happen at some point? Yes, but like anything, all of these things are written in pencil with an eraser ready to go.
Yep.
Because you've got a group of people that wants to eliminate another group of people. Doesn't want to live side by side, doesn't want to be pals, doesn't want to be friends, wants to eliminate another group of people. And what's that old phrase, if the Jews lay down their guns, there's no more Jews. If the Palestinians lay down their guns, there's peace. So Netanyahu, while everybody else is reporting, it could be getting done, it's getting done, Netanyahu is saying, not yet, which is normally what Hamas does. I go back to this. I've read a couple books about Clinton. Bill, man, it's great. First is The Art of How to Pick Up Chicks. The second one is, like his memoirs. And his biggest regret was Arafat and the Palestinians because they got everything they wanted. Everything. I mean, they were giving up land. They were giving up settlements. They were getting all the things they wanted. I mean, Bill had just worked a deal. Big time. I mean, it was a hit, and Arafat got it all, everything. You were going to be a country. It's going to be a two-state solution. The world's going to be wonderful. We're all singing Utopia. And what did he do at the 12th hour? No, because it's not about peace. It's not. It's not about peace. It's never about peace. And by the way, it's not even about the land. Everybody's got a map from some long ago time. Right? It's not. These people are like the Hatfields and the McCoys times a gazillion. Do I feel bad for the Palestinians? Yeah, I got a couple buddies I played soccer with. They're Palestinian. Good people. Do they understand that their people are at times unhinged and dangerous? Of course. Are they a fan of what Israel does? No, and I'm not a fan always of what Israel does either. Not at all. But do I understand it? 100%. 100%. And you've got to be strong. But even if this gets done today, does it mean it's going to last tomorrow? We have heard these things through time immemorial. They have been there. This has happened over and over again. It's this, it's going to be that. And then you find out it's not worth the paper it's written on. It is a temporary ceasefire. And what ends up happening? It only takes one person inside of a group that's already splintered. Remember, we think Hamas are several guys who run stuff, and they're paramilitary, as they like to call it, which is not true. It's just a bunch of people that are pissed and angry and easily convinced that the people next door you should hate. And what ends up happening? Right? Because everybody in Palestine, your brother, your father, your uncle, your mother, your sister, your wife, your kids, somebody's been killed. So to them, you're a terrorist. But to the people in Palestine, you're a freedom fighter. And some of them are going to do their own thing. Netanyahu's under a lot of pressure at home. He is not liked right now by a lot of people. And he is clinging on to power in a very thin clinging to power. So getting a deal is of the utmost important, but it's got to be the right deal too. Because what I normally see is they'll release 15 or 20 or 30 hostages. They're saying 33 today. and they'll want 1,500 Palestinians, fighting age men, Palestinians, maybe some of them who even participated in October 7th. Maybe. It's possible. I don't know. We're going to find out. But as Ken just reported, while everybody else is saying, it's done, it's not done. Not done at all. So what does that look like in the coming hours? And Trump's played a huge part in this because they want no part of that. Like, you look at Ukraine and Russia is much different. We played more than a bit part in the whole Ukraine thing with Russia. And I'm not talking about just the weapons. Did we habitually line step at times, joked about NATO, maybe even thought about we those things? Absolutely. Did we encroach? We did. We potentially did. Would he have liked to reconfigure and rejoin much of the Soviet Union? Oh, I think he would. But we're going to play a bigger role in rebuilding Ukraine. And that's the one thing. Well, we sit here and we talk about how much money, this country got. The fact is, the vast majority of that cash never left American soil. And what's going to be built over there is us controlling lots of stuff. Go see what natural resources they have, by the way. Everything's done because of money. It's different. Israel's our ally in a place where we don't have many allies. In a place where we're hated, as is Israel. And so we're not rebuilding anything, right? Halliburton's not over there going, well, as soon as Palestine gets itself back on its feet, we're going to come in here and put in all kinds of stuff and a mall and this. It ain't happening. So these are two separate things, but Ukraine is much easier to solve. Because I think once you get some peace, you're going to have some peace. At least for a pretty decent while when it comes to Russia and Ukraine. Not the same for Israel. You in 6 months, a year, 2 years, something will happen. Somebody will do something. A kid will get shot that an Israeli soldier thought was doing something, or there'll be another situation like this, or Iran will be just apoplectic over the fact that Saudi Arabia and Israel are pals. Which is business, by the way. They've got two things. They like business, the Saudis, and Israel likes business. And the other thing is their mutual enemy is Iran. I think things don't change in the Middle East, maybe ever, but they won't change significantly until there's a regime change in Iran. And I don't want to be a part of regime change, but they need one. If you've never gone... And have you ever done this, Ken or Bell?
What's that, brother?
Go look at pictures of Beirut and Tehran in the 60s and 70s.
Oh, yes.
Oh, they were gorgeous.
It was Monaco. That's where the Europeans went. Girls in bikinis. They've got, all kinds of places you could gamble, you could shop, you could do all of the stuff because the Euros went there because it was warm weather, right? There's water. It's beautiful. And then the hardliners took over. And hell came a-calling. Until you get back to some remnants of real freedom and you stop Iran, there's always going to be a nightmare like this. There is. So the deal, everybody else is saying is done, but Ken reported that Netanyahu said, "Did he say it just like that? Maybe.
Yeah, he says, no deal yet, still working on details.
Yeah, it's how many people are getting out and what's it look like.
Well, and I heard initial reports that it was going to be over 100 Palestinian prisoners to only 33 Israeli prisoners, many of whom may be dead.
Yeah, and that's
not fair, and it's what you said. If that's the first stage, that's going to be a very shaky deal. Very shaky.
Very shaky. Very shaky. But they want to get it done, and they have to get it done. And you know what? Here's the other thing. And I'm not going to pretend to play this game, but welcome to the world of reality. Could they push this thing off until Tuesday, Wednesday next week? Netanyahu is a big fan of the Trumpster. And could that be an issue? Of course it could. Absolutely, 100% it could happen. Do I think it's going to? I think they might get something done, but I think also they're probably getting some weird answers back from like, well, you want who? I'm going to have to check on that one. You know, because we don't know. Because you every once in a while you get a video from somebody, you get a proof of life video, but how many of them are still alive? How many Americans are still alive and still over there? So these are all things that would have to be worked out, but also who the 100 is. Is it 100 people who participated in terrorist activities, including some on October 7th? That's a non-starter for me. Those people are never leaving. Ever. They're never seeing the light of day. If it is people that have been held by Israel, Israel's no joke for you, by the way. I just want to let you guys know that. They are no joke. They don't play around. The Mossad and them. Once they got you, you got gotted.
Yeah.
Is it just political prisoners they've had for several years that they're going to release? That I don't know. But it needs to get done because people of Israel are exhausted and they want peace. And there's not much left of Palestine. And the rebuild has to begin. We need some peace somewhere, but that's got the biggest part of it has to be Iran. It absolutely, because Iran is such a pain in the ass. Red dye 3, the other big news, gone. That's it. It's over.
I'm sad. Next, they're going to take away my lead paint chips.
No, you can keep those.
Okay.
I roll around those at night in my asbestos. It's just so awesome. When you look back at all of the crap that, because we were talking earlier, the guys and I were talking earlier about our generation, like Gen X.
Yeah.
We lived through riding our bikes off cliffs, you know, like riding in the back of trucks. We lived through all this wacky stuff. And we had the good times of not having ourselves be tethered to all of the world's technology and then also creating it and being able to live with it. But you go and look at the crap we used to consume, right? Lead paint. We used to be in our schools.
Oh, yeah.
Asbestos used to be in our schools.
I mean, you know, it's now red dye is going away, but like all of this stuff we used to eat, it was like we didn't care. We lived a great life, but this is, you know, it's not, from what I understand, they're saying the rats have gotten cancer. Nobody has gotten cancer or it's been linked to.
Right.
But this is a big deal. Red dye 3, California banned it a few years ago, which everybody's like, oh, now they're talking about Skittles. I'm like, you know what? We need to look at some of this crap in our foods.
Yeah, and reports say that it was banned in cosmetics back in like 1990.
Yeah. It was like 35 years ago. So, like, if it's not good enough to put on your face, why is it good enough for you to eat?
Exactly.
Right? Like, if you can't wear rouge with red dye, why should I eat red dye? Like a lot of chips and stuff have all that red dye in it. What else? Kool-Aid, is that red? That just seems like red dye.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
it just seems like red
icing, cupcakes and cakes, cookies. Lots of stuff I used to eat a whole bunch of.
A lot of stuff I still eat now. Yeah. And that's the problem. A lot of stuff to get to today. We're going to have some fun, talk a little bit more about the hostage deal, a bunch of other stuff, see what's going on with Pam Bondi, the Bondi in the house. Marco Rubio, all of them are getting their hearing today. I hope they hear well, actually. I hope they do it well. And just a bunch of other stuff, including inflation.
Oh, yeah.
The numbers are out, baby. It is the Chad Benson Show. Super Talk 99.7. Prize picks. Playoffs are here. Playoffs? Absolutely, the playoffs are here. In fact, I'm getting ready to play a prize pick here in a little bit. Got a little soccer going on. Now, what is it? So, prize picks is awesome. For you to win 1,000 times your money. It is not picking Team A versus Team B. You set a lineup, and your lineup could be like, let's just say, I did football this weekend. Sam Darnold throws at least one touchdown, and Matthew Stafford throws for over 250 yards. That's an over-under. That's the way it is. It's that simple. And a lot of times it's will so-and-so score more or less of a half a touchdown. You got to choose. It is so easy to do. Anybody can do it. My wife loves it. She's always I'm like, settle down there, hun. It is a way to do fantasy every single day and stay involved. Right now, use code Chad. You go to download the app. So you go to Prize Picks app. You download the app. When you use code Chad, you play your first $5 lineup. $50 bonus right there. That's it. That's all you got to do. Do it today. Playoffs are here. Great way to have some fun, stay engaged. Pick your lineup. The minute you play your first $5 lineup, you get $50 bonus. Download the app today. Prize Picks. Run your game.
All right, drivers, we are repairing potholes on 65 northbound just past Concord Road. This is going to affect Brentwood. It's a rolling roadblock to fix those potholes. The left lane is closed. We've got the very latest on what was reported to be a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. We've also got the special session being called here in Tennessee to tackle education, vouchers, and two other issues the governor wants to deal with at 12:30 on Supertalk 99.7 WTN.
By tomorrow, things really start to settle down. The wind speeds are near calm for Santa Clarita by Friday. You know the other best part? We're going to get onshore flow by Friday. That means that the humidity is going to bump up, talking 60%. That's going to help so much you might even see a sprinkle by the end of the week in Southern California.
A sprinkle. That's all you can have. I know a lot of people are like, oh my God, the fires, it could be put out by there's some storms. You do not want storms after a fire because of mudslides.
Bingo.
California, my wife, her friend, his entire family taken by mudslide. He was at the store, and it was after a fire, and it is, you have no idea. It's like crazy. So California is a hot mess, and it's getting hotter, by the way. But it's insane. Like, okay, so wait a minute. We need the rain. First of all, because everything is dry. But at the same time, because of the fire, will cause mudslides. And then with the wind, we could have more fires. That's the way this is working. Congratulations, California. You've knocked it out of the park again. So up here, everywhere I'm looking, they're saying it's a done deal. But Netanyahu is saying, no. Don't put the cart before the horse. This still may not be done.
This is a temporary ceasefire for now. Phase 1 would include the gradual release of hostages. We don't know the condition of those hostages. It's entirely possible that some of them will be dead and it will be bodies that will be returned to their loved ones.
Which, if you are a loved one, the not knowing is killing some of these people. The conditions they're in, and then talking to other survivors, especially young women who have been repeatedly raped and beaten.
It is a living hell.
It is a living hell. You almost wish that it would have ended sooner. Because imagine coming home after, let's say you get released tomorrow, and you've spent year and a half plus in underground tunnels, in pitch black, being paraded around, being raped and beaten. What does that do to you? It's and I think that's the only chip Hamas has to play anymore. They don't have nuclear weapons. They've really run out of a lot of people. So their chip to hold, as much as they possibly can this is our bargaining chip. You turn over 23 that are dead and 10 that are alive that are zombies. That is not a good look. They're probably like, give us a couple days. We're going to spruce them up. It is horrible. It is. And it's, I couldn't even imagine. I know there's a lady going around right now. She was just at UCLA a couple weeks ago, giving a speech that was part of the second group of hostages that got released, or she was freed. But, she was raped. She was beaten. People around her were murdered. It was horrific. And, of course, she's over talking to college kids who are like, Palestine is a wonderful place and the people are kind and nice and stuff. Maybe some of them. Like I said, I've got a couple friends I played soccer with that are Palestinian. Great people. I liked them. But, there's issues over there. There's absolute issues. And that has always been and will always be. You've got people that hate each other. The difference is one group enslaves their own people for their financial gain. And the other group is a democracy. That's it. Right there. One group uses their people as shields and bait to go and die for a cause that isn't really going to benefit them or their families, and in most cases get not only them killed, but their family members killed. But that benefits Hamas. And Israel gives as good as it gets. And I remind everybody in the Middle East, the only reason that your countries are still standing is because we tell Israel no. Because when I hear from the river to the sea, I want to remind everybody, they could take you from the river to the sea and not even think about it. Coming up, a lot of stuff, man. We got some fun stuff. We're talking about inflation. I love the way they break down inflation, because if you've never heard inflation broken down and the way that they talk about it, it is hilarious and sad at the same time. Bunch of other stuff to get to as well, and some crazy stuff. Plus, later, when we talk about the fires, I'm going to break some myths about the fires. I just want to do that for you guys because we're straight shooters here. It is the Chad Benson Show, Supertalk 99.7.
$12:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Again, they're doing some rolling pothole repairs along 65 in Brentwood. Keep that in your mind if you're going to be out and about here in the next half hour or so, or if you're there right now. Full forecast in 5 minutes. Not so fast on the reported ceasefire in Gaza. Fox News reports Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says a ceasefire deal still is not reached. Details still being sorted out. ABC News reporting the same. This comes after reports have been swirling this morning of a deal reached for hostages. News about the food we eat. The U.S. moving to make manufacturers remove red dye number 3 by 2027. It's an ingredient in food like candy, cake, cupcakes, cookies, frozen desserts, frosting, and icings, and some of the drugs we take. The FDA says red dye number 3 has been linked to cancer in lab rats, but says there have been no links to it in humans. Here in Tennessee, Governor Lee's called a special session to deal with his Freedom of Education Act to give families state tax dollars to send their kids to private schools. Channel 4's Courtney Allen reports what that could look like for Tennessee families.
It creates a scholarship for parents who want to put their kids in private school using public money. It also includes pay raises for teachers. Lawmakers have already set aside $144 million to fund the program. So the governor wants to get this passed quickly so parents can access that cash fast.
Two other issues Governor Lee wants lawmakers to use the special session to address: disaster relief for Hurricane Helene victims and illegal immigration public safety measures, which Lee says will ensure Tennessee stands ready to support the Trump administration on day one. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
What really matters, that's what I like talking about. A lot of stuff. It's interesting to talk about, but does it affect your life that much? You know what does affect your life? Inflation. Kick you right in the grundle. So we got a new report today. Ooh.
This is a confusing report. There's some good news, some bad news. There's a little something for everyone. Let's start with the bad news. 2.9%. That's the annual inflation rate. This was hotter than expected. It's the third straight month where this number has gone up, further away from that 2% goal, and this is the highest since July. Also, the monthly number was a little bit hotter than expected. When we look at the trend, you can see that, yes, there's been a lot of progress from the nightmare of 2.5 years ago, and yet some of that progress has started to unwind and stall out in the last few months.
You think? Absolutely. Inflation happens. 2% is kind of this arbitrary, weird thing that we like to be at. Is great. And so that's the rate of inflation. So that is, you're looking at month over month. That's the kind of thing that we're looking at. It only grew 2.9%. You know, we want to keep it right around 2. But the thing that always makes me laugh is how they look at inflation. So the core inflation, this is when they take out the only thing that matters, which is the stuff that we use every day. Food, fuel, housing prices, rent.
It's starting to tick a little bit higher. That's not what you want to see. But there is some good news, and I think this is why the market is reacting very positively. Core inflation, which excludes food and energy, that actually cooled off. So look at this. We see Dow futures up almost 700 points. The NASDAQ futures up almost 2%. And that's because the bond market liked those core numbers. Interest rates went down in the market because a lot of people were on the edge.
I eat, I drive, I have a house. Those things matter. How much my shirt cost comparatively till last month till now? I can't live in my shirt. I can't eat my shirt. I could light it on fire, I guess. It is the dumbest thing in the world. Hey, we're going to take out all of the stuff. Well, you know, the reason we do that is because it's very volatile. Yeah, we get that. But the reality is it's all tied together. I don't get to tell my landlord, hey, I know you want to raise rent 12%, but I'm going to take out the core reason why you want to raise it and only allow you to raise it 2.9.
There were some numbers that people are not going to like, right? I mean, restaurant prices are up significantly, more than 3% from a year ago. Shelter, that's rent. I mean, that continues to be a major problem. And energy as well. This is more electricity, natural gas prices. And listen, when we talk about inflation, we talk about the rate of inflation, how much prices are going up. But what people care about, what all the viewers care about is the level of prices. And no doubt, people are spending a lot more. Look at this, almost $1,200 more for the same goods and services than they were back in January 2021, all because prices are higher, John.
Chad, by the way, that's what you need to tell me, okay? Inflation happens. In life, we don't care about inflation if our earnings outpace it. If inflation goes up 30%, but my salary goes up 40% and I'm above it, I don't care. That's the issue that this administration had, which is inflation went up, and even with the rise of people's salaries, it didn't matter because it's a tax you feel every day. So no matter how much you want to, take some stuff out of it to make it look that way, and they do this for everything, and every administration has done this forever, and they play with the numbers. My favorite, besides this, is unemployment. So if you're on unemployment and you haven't found a job, I see Ken in there going, yeah, and you no longer apply for unemployment and you're kicked off the rolls, you just don't count.
Yeah.
What? I'm still here. So inflation is still going up, and it may, by the way, I hate to break it to some people out there, I think inflation this year is going to be touch and go. I think we're going to have some potential issues with some tariffs. I think we're going to have some unsettledness, but you've got to go through some of these things if you think, okay, on the other side, this is going to be much better. which I think it will. I absolutely 100% think it will. But it's going to take some time. And we're a very impatient country. That's why when you look at somebody, I got to be honest, Javier Milei, who's the president of Argentina. Poverty is up big time in Argentina. But inflation is down. And because inflation is down, people see a light at the end of the tunnel. And I think that's what a lot of people see with Trump. And I think some people out there, I think, will be frustrated. Oh, you promised me things were going to go down. As I remind everybody listening today, Trump is not a genie, right? He doesn't get to grant wishes. It is a process, which in a world of instantaneous stuff, it's a tough thing for people to gather a process. Speaking of Trump, guess what, guys?
Oh, yeah, I saw this.
Oh, yeah, baby. So did you see that their goal when they performed there was to bring the country together, to unite the world? That is an amazing thing.
Yeah.
That's the goal, they say, is to unite everybody. And I find it curious because most people like the Village People. They love goofing around with the Village People. And in a time of anger and hate, yesterday, the disdain that people had for Carrie Underwood is fascinating. So she is going to be playing at the magical, and it's going to be fun. It's magical. You get a chance to do something like this, you go and do it. I got news for you. If somebody told me today, hey, Biden's going to be up the street, he'd like to meet with you. Hell yeah, I'm going. That's a cool thing to tell your kids, even if you don't like him. So she's going to be there, and people are pissed. And people are mad, and they're now starting to go, we're going to boycott. But the funny thing is, nobody went after the Village People, which I found fascinating. Because normally people freak out, right? Like, oh, my God, we're going to go after so-and-so. You better not be aligned with him, unless that's your audience. Like Kid Rock, that's his audience, right? Like, you know, there's not a lot of granola eaters going, oh, God, I can't wait to bomb a dang. No, that's not happening. But with the Village People, no, there's no disdain the way there is for Carrie Underwood. Not doing it. By the way, Carrie doesn't have to worry because she does Sunday Night Football. She looks great in that dress. Those legs are to die for.
Yeah, she's all right. She'll be all right.
Yeah, she'll be all right. But it's just a fascinating way that we pick and choose who we will be mad at. It won't be. Because if any modern group said, oh, yeah, I don't care that Trump uses my song, they would lose their mind, everybody in the audience. How dare you support this, and this? How dare you hate women? You hate this, that, and the other. And she said, yeah, I'm doing it because I'm doing it for America. Like, that's why I'm doing it. It's not about Trump per se. But they're all going, too. I saw that Bezos is going to be there. He's flying in. I see that Zuckerberg's going to be there. And so is Musk, obviously. He's part of it. How long does that last for? How long does that relationship last for? I feel both of them could wear each other out. And I know a lot of people are like, no. There's a little bit of that. There is, no doubt. Speaking of Musk, will he or won't he? This is a big conversation in my house. I have kids. They love TikTok. My son, my stepdaughter, that's how they communicate now. Like that's how people, young people, if you don't know, communicate. And so do some of you listening in and around my age. If you're married, you may also communicate in ways of, I'm going to send funny things to my wife or my girlfriend or my husband, and they're going to send stuff back to me. That's how they communicate now.
We do it sitting on the couch.
Right next to each other. Like, have you seen this video? This is great. I do that all the time. In fact, since I've been here, I will tell you this right now. Maybe my wife's watching, maybe she's not. She has sent me probably 6 to 10 videos.
Yes.
You got to see this. This is incredible. That's how people communicate now. And people are freaking out. The young people, too. I understand why some people are freaking out, because there's a lot of small businesses. I don't think people realize. You see the influencers like this. $6,000 just for asking people to send you money. No, because you're too good for that. There's OnlyFans. I'm not saying that you have to do something naughty. That's Bell's idea, not mine. He goes right there. I don't. Would you do OnlyFans? If I could, I would. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I would too. I'm not. Let's just be honest. We all would.
If I could make $100,000 a month on OnlyFans, oh yeah.
I'm just afraid I'll cut my big toe shaving.
Oh my goodness me! I do these. I was on OnlyPans, which is different. So it's just I just put my pans out and take pictures of them in compromising positions. Oh my God! So I'd like to see if Musk can buy it. And the Chinese has got a relationship with them, but it goes back to this: if you don't get the algorithm, it doesn't matter. The outside stuff, you need the algorithm. And I don't think China is going to get rid of that. And the new thing now is Red Note, which is owned by the Communist Party. That's where everybody's going to. Yeah, that's not going to happen either, kids. A lot of stuff we're going to squeeze into on this Wednesday. We're keeping an eye on what is going on in the Middle East. So Qatari officials are speaking right now about a potential ceasefire deal, which some are saying it's happened. And Ken will have the latest on that. BB a little while ago says it wasn't quite done yet. So we'll have more on that. Bunch of other stuff. It is Chad Benson Show, Supertalk 99.7. Bulwark Capital. I'm telling you guys, 2025, uncertainty. What's going on in your retirement account? What's going on with your investments? Would you call my buddies over at Bulwark? 866-779-RISK today. 866-779-RISK. They're going to give you a free second opinion. They're going to walk you through everything that's going on there, tell you where, you need to improve if you want to get to the retirement goals that you set for yourself, which is what are the things they go over, your retirement goals. A lot of people, they got different ideas. Not everybody's the same. Cookie cutter is not what they do. Their goal, lower risk, lower cost, lower volatility, most upside potential. That's what they do. It's a free second opinion. Doesn't cost you anything but a little bit of time. Call 866-779-RISK today or check out everything they do at knowyourriskradio.com, KNOW, yourriskradio.com today. Investment advisory services offered through Trek Financial LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor. Investments involve risk, not a guarantee. Past performance not guarantee future results. Trek 24378.
$31 million in Social Security payments to dead people has been recovered, and one official says that's just the tip of the iceberg. Coming up at 1 on Supertalk 99.7 WTN.
Man, pays to be dead.
I was getting ready to say, man, where are those checks going and who cashed them?
I saw that, was it Epstein got a $122 million tax refund? Good for him.
Wow.
What the hell? It's and you wonder why we need the
He's
Doge.
going to use it to bail Diddy out.
Diddy's never getting out of jail.
Never, man.
Diddy is never, ever, ever getting out of jail.
No. Dude, that trial in May, that is going to be the trial of the century.
That is must-see TV. Having one of the biggest artists in the last 30 years, producer, singer, entrepreneur, and there's going to be, remember, there's going to be more people that are going to be arrested because you can't have a conspiracy of one. I conspired with myself. It's just who's next. And that's going to be fascinating. My goodness me. And all of the stars that are going to be outed.
Oh, my.
Ooh. And you know, his people are trying to get to every one of those going, we got video. We got video. We got all of this stuff. So you better play ball. Say you saw nothing. But he doesn't know what they have and what they collected. And who's going to give him up? Because you know the first one in gets the best deal. And there's a plenty of them in. I just saw he got hit again with another one just a couple days ago. So from, another 16-year-old kid. Just what a scumbag. But he is never getting out of jail.
No.
Ever. Ever. Bill Cosby's probably like, whoo. It's not very nice, Chad. Pam Bondi. She's at a hearing today. So it's the usual. I'm going to get you to answer something so that pisses Trump off. That's it. They're not looking for anything real. And by the way, Dick Durbin said today, as long as she says that she's not going to bow to Trump if Trump comes and says, you better do this or else, then, yeah, she's completely qualified. Absolutely 100% qualified. She's an AG, a former AG of a state. Like super qualified. Because a lot of times they're all government people. They weren't AGs of states. So she was. And that's really what this is about. I think she's going to get through much easier. And Marco, he's already, Dick Durbin, several others I've seen have already say, oh, yeah, Marco's getting through. He's the right guy and an important guy for the job as he has his hearing today. No. We need to do two things. Show the strength, build up our military, lean and mean, be modern. That's the military side of it. And we need to stop thinking about nation building. That's it. We need to stop thinking about it. It doesn't work. Freedom is hard. And in many cases, going to people who are abused essentially for decades, it is a tough thing to get them to change their mind. They don't even know what freedom looks like. So let's keep it at home. Let's protect our allies and our friends and the things that we need. And the rest of the time, let whatever's going to happen, happen. A lot of stuff to get to. Got some of your text. Somebody's mad because I said I'd hang with Biden. I didn't say I'd hang with him. I said I'd meet him. I got no problem with it. Who wouldn't want to meet a president?
Yeah, I mean, it's a sitting president.
Yeah, I'm not endorsing him, but I'd like to meet him. I mean, I'll remember it. He won't, but, whatever. He's not going to remember anything anyway.
He's not even going to know he ever met you.
He doesn't know he met anybody. Oh, my Lord. Coming up, second hour, a lot of stuff to get to. More on Israel, what's happening there. Is there a deal? Isn't there a deal? Qataris are saying there is a deal. Netanyahu, maybe not so much. It's the Chad Benson Show, Supertalk 99.7.
One o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. We've got the full forecast coming up in 5 minutes. And right now, word out of the Middle East is that Israel and Hamas have agreed to a ceasefire. But this is coming from the Qatari prime minister. We also see a report that the U.S. is confirming that Israel and Hamas have reached a ceasefire and hostage deal. And according to ABC News, this is from President Biden, who is quoted as saying, "My diplomacy never ceased." So, very fluid situation coming out of the Middle East now when it is regarding whether or not Israel and Hamas have agreed to some sort of pause in the fighting for the release of some hostages. We'll stay on top of it for you here on Supertalk 99.7 WTN. The FDA is banning an ingredient in a lot of our food and drinks, which has been linked to cancer in lab rats. Red dye number 3 is in candy, cakes, cupcakes, cookies, frozen desserts, frosting and icings, and some ingested drugs. Food and drug manufacturers have until 2027 to get it out. Here in Tennessee, Governor Lee has called a special session to deal with 3 issues. His school voucher bill, the Freedom of Education Act that uses state tax dollars to let families send kids to private school. Here's Channel 4's Courtney Allen on another one.
Another topic up for discussion in this special session is for disaster relief for Hurricane Helene. A lot of damage is still left behind from Helene in East Tennessee. But some Democrats believe that the governor is using this as a way to get a special session to discuss his voucher bill.
Lee says the third issue is what he calls illegal immigration safety measures to ensure Tennessee is supporting the Trump administration on day one. We see reports that $31 million in Social Security payments to dead people has been recovered since that agency that runs the program opened its books to the Department of Treasury's Bureau of Fiscal Service. And that, one official says, is just the tip of the iceberg. It's part of the omnibus appropriations bill in 2021. Congress gave the Treasury temporary access to the Social Security Administration's full death master file for 3 years. It's effective December 2023 through 2026. The SSA maintains the most complete federal database of individuals who have died, and the file contains more than 142 million records going back to 1899. The Treasury projects it will recover more than $215 million during its 3-year access period. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
So right now, Joe Biden with the vice president. I think Blinken's there as well. Let's go live as he's talking about the deal that looks to have been
the
done.
President of Egypt. And we have pledged to make sure the negotiations will keep moving forward for as long as it takes. Then, when phase 2 begins, there will be an exchange for release of the remaining living hostages, including male soldiers, and all remaining Israeli forces will be withdrawn from Gaza, and the temporary ceasefire will become permanent. And finally, phase 3, any final remains of hostages who have been killed will be returned to their families, and a major reconstruction plan for Gaza will begin. This is the ceasefire agreement I introduced last spring. Today, Hamas and Israel have agreed to that ceasefire agreement and the whole ending the war. You know, those of you who have followed the negotiations can attest, the road to this deal has not been easy. I've worked in foreign policy for decades. This is one of the toughest negotiations I've ever experienced. And we reached this point because of the pressure that Israel built on Hamas, backed by the United States. Hamas's longtime leader, Sinwar, was killed. Hamas's strongest supporter, Iran, launched attacks on Israel. And those attacks failed after my administration organized a coalition of nations to stop them. And after I ordered the U.S. ships and planes to come to Israel's defense, we also shaped Israel's strong and calibrated response, destroying Iran's air defenses, but avoiding an escalatory cycle of an all-out war. The United States also organized a coalition of 20 countries to stand up to attacks by the Houthis, including their missile attacks in Israel. Then Hezbollah, another of Hamas's strongest backers, was significantly weakened on the battlefield, and its leadership was destroyed. With our support, Israel negotiated a ceasefire with them, and after that, Lebanon finally elected a new president who's not beholden to Hezbollah, and he can begin a new chapter for the Lebanese people. All told, these developments in the region, which the United States helped to shape, changed the equation. And so now, the terror network that once protected and sustained Hamas is far weaker. Iran is weaker. Iran is weaker than it's been in decades. Hezbollah is badly degraded. And after more than 15 months of war, Hamas's senior leaders are dead. Thousands of Hamas fighters are dead. And the military formations have been destroyed. With nowhere to turn, Hamas finally agreed to releasing hostages. You know, there was no other way for this war to end than with a hostage deal. And I'm deeply satisfied this day has finally come, for the sake of the people of Israel and the families waiting in agony, and for the sake of the innocent people in Gaza who suffered unimaginable devastation because of the war. The Palestinian people have gone through hell. Too many innocent people have died. Too many communities have been destroyed. In this deal, the people of Gaza can finally recover and rebuild. They can look to a future without Hamas in power. You know, the Bible says, blessed are the peacemakers. Many peacemakers helped make this deal happen, including an extraordinary team of American diplomats who have worked nonstop for months to get this done. Secretary Blinken led the effort. Secretary Jake Sullivan, National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan, Bill Burns, John Feiner, Brett McGurk, Amos Hochstein, and the Vice President worked relentlessly as we worked to deliver this deal. I'd also note this deal was developed and negotiated under my administration, but its terms will be implemented, for the most part, by the next administration. In these past few days, we've been speaking as one team. This has been time of real turmoil in the Middle East. But as I prepare to leave office, our friends are strong, our enemies are weak, and there's a genuine opportunities for a new future. In Lebanon, there's an opportunity for a future, free from the grip of Hezbollah. In Syria, a future free from the tyranny of Assad, and for the Palestinian people, a credible pathway to a state of their own, and for the region, a future of normalization, integration of Israel and all its Arab neighbors, including Saudi Arabia. At the G20 in Delhi in September 23, I rallied key countries behind a vision of an economic corridor from India across the Middle East to Europe. That vision can now become a reality. There are risks as well, including ISIS and Iran, even in a badly weakened state. But we're handing off then to the next team a real opportunity for a better future for the Middle East. I hope they will take it. Let me close with this. My friend for years in the United States Senate, former Senator George Mitchell, who did so much to forge peace in Northern Ireland, once said about diplomacy, he said, it is a 700 days of failure and 1 day of success. 700 days of failure and 1 day of success. Well, we've had many difficult days since Hamas began its terrible war. We've encountered roadblocks and setbacks. We've not given up. And now, after more than 400 days of struggle, a day of success has arrived. God bless all the hostages and their families. May God protect the troops of all those who work for peace.
That right there was Joe Biden. He is giving a speech about what looks to be an actual ceasefire. How long it lasts, again, long-term, real ceasefire and peace comes with a lot of things. But the most important thing is hope for a future. If you have a 3-bedroom, 2-bath mortgage that you have to make, going across the street and blowing yourself up, it's not as important. If you have hope for something, it's not as important. And that's not going to happen until everybody who's not us or Israel gets involved with Palestine. But nobody wants to because they recognize what has happened in the past. See Jordan. They let him in the 60s. Then they tried to overthrow their leader. Egypt doesn't want them because Muslim Brotherhood. Little offshoot there. Where's it come from? Palestine. Everybody's got to get involved. And you've got to give them a future. If you're preoccupied with your life, your family, your kids, things are going pretty good, you've got an economy. If you're preoccupied with that, like I said, some guy coming up to you later going, man, those guys next door are really angry. We should go blow them up. You're like, dude, my life's good, right? I got a mortgage. My kids are doing well. No, I'm going to do a hard pass on that. But everybody's got to get involved, and you got to get Iran out of the way. Their 6th century medieval belief structure doesn't jive with modern world. And at one time, both Beirut and Tehran were super modern. I know it's hard to believe, much like Cuba used to be. Cuba used to be Vegas, but in the ocean. Right? That was Cuba was like, let's go over there. We're going to go have some fun. We're going to go gamble. It's going to be great. Then what happened? Back-assward thinking comes around, destroys everything. If it's really going to happen, there's got to be a future for people. There absolutely must be. Israel has every right to defend themselves at all costs, and they do show restraint, and they do step over the line at times. That being said, you killed how many people in Palestine? Gaza is destroyed. It needs to be rebuilt, but there needs to be something that people are heading to, a light at the end of the tunnel. Because if not, we're going to be right back here in 6 months. There's no doubt in my mind about that. Now, those are brothers, sisters, fathers, sons, daughters, wives, husbands, nieces, nephews. What ends up happening if they don't have a tomorrow to go to? They're going to pick up the fight. And that's what's going to happen if the Middle East doesn't handle its business. And like I said earlier, Iran is the key to all this. You cut the head off of Iran, everything changes. Everything changes. Because they fund so much. They push so much. They're the people that want to get two people to fight. And so they tell each of them a different story to get them to square off. That's what Iran does. But you have to give people a future. And that's where Saudi Arabia comes in. Because nobody wants to deal with them. Nobody does. The college kids here on campuses have more sympathy for the Palestinians than the people in the Middle East do. For most people in the Middle East, they don't care. And for the ones that kind of do, it's just an excuse to hate the Jews. It's not because they want to be pals with them. Then you got to deal with things like Yemen, Lebanon. But if you cut the head off of Iran, if the funding for death and destruction dies, then the death and destruction starts to die. Then you have to figure out, how do you rebuild? And that's going to be a big, big, big question. Because Saudi Arabia, Qatar, all of them have to be involved in this. It can't be America. I said it earlier. I don't want a nation build. I don't think we should be any part of nation building whatsoever. And will we be a part of it? You know, somebody said, are we going to rebuild it? There's not the kind of money that there is in a place like Ukraine. Because that's what's going to happen here, by the way. Everybody thinks, well, now that everything's going to end with Ukraine, everything. Who do you think's building all of that stuff? They're going to allocate billions of dollars for tons of ways to help rebuild Ukraine, all done by contractors who sub out stuff over there to other people to rebuild their infrastructure. And then a lot of people make money. It's not the same in Palestine. It isn't. But it's got to be a hope for the future or it doesn't work. Speaking of the future, let's go to the past. Remember RFK Jr. talks about all the crap in our food? They're like, well, maybe it's this. 35 years ago, they said, hey, we can't put this stuff in makeup anymore because it may cause cancer. It's not a good thing for. And lo and behold, now it's out of our food. And it's in a lot of food. A ton of food. Stuff that we probably consume every single day. You just don't know it's in there. Including things, I had Doritos. That's got all kinds of red dye number 3 in it. All kinds. So this is, I mean, I'm sitting there like, of all the things that could affect us today, all of us have probably had some red dye number 3 in the past couple days. So this will be going away. But you know they're going to replace it with something else. And what is that something else? It depends who's got the best lobbyist. My name's Chad Benson. Hope you are well. Got some of your texts. We'll talk a bit about that. Again, ceasefire in effect, apparently, and it's supposed to start on Sunday. So you've got, hey, if you still have a chance to get your killing in, you better do it by Sunday.
Yeah, if you don't want to lug all that ammo back, you better fire it off.
Oh, my goodness me. So we'll talk a bit more about that. Bunch of other stuff to get to as well. It is Chad Benson Show, Supertalk 99.7. Rough Greens, ruffgreens.com. Vitamins, minerals, probiotics, omega-3, 6, 9, all this really cool stuff in this amazing powdered supplement that you give your dog. And now with Meow Greens, your cats. They love the taste of it. My cat now, because we got a new cat for Christmas, Santa Claus brought us a cat because he's like, hey, I hate you, so here's a cat. So he loves it. And sprinkle it on top of his food. He waits for you to come and eat it up. And he does. He just loves it. But it helps with the skin, his fur. There is no issues with the skin and fur with our cat. And his energy levels through the roof. If you love your animals like I love my animals, you want to try some Rough Greens. It's absolutely free. You cover the cost of shipping for your first Jumpstart trial bag. It's $20 value. They send it out to you for free. ruffgreens.com. Use code Chad. Ruffgreens.com. Use code Chad.
It's official. The ceasefire in Gaza starts on Sunday. That will be phase 1. There are 3 total phases. Also, major news about the stuff we eat and drink here in the U.S., what the FDA is banning, coming up at 1:30 on Supertalk 99.7 WTN.
That right there is the lady who's leading the Los Angeles Fire Department. She wanted everybody to know what her pronouns were for the people that are blind, what she was wearing, and that she had eyewear on. And then she had somebody who was signing next to her. The signing thing is every time I watch one of those press conferences and I see somebody signing, the whole time I'm thinking, are they really signing something? Because every year we get somebody who's a sign language person who doesn't know sign language and just does the hands thing. And I always say to myself, the balls to be able to go out and do that are huge. Man, you got to be in like a wheelbarrow.
It's like that dude that was standing right next to President Obama that time. I can't remember. I think it was in South Africa.
And they're just throwing up. Yeah.
And if you watch it, he's actually doing the same thing over and over again.
And the confidence of which they're doing it is tremendous, because you have to think, somebody might see this and they're going to expose me. But you don't care because you think nobody's going to do it. You're like, honestly, I would call in sick that day. I can't believe that people go and do that. But they do, right? And just when you think humans can't amaze you anymore, they do. Yesterday we spoke about the grab-and-go bag. This guy's an expert. He's going to tell everybody what you really need to take in your grab-and-go. Which is so important. So I did this a couple years ago, and then we got our car broken into, and we got everything taken out of it. And I had my documents in there, and I lost everything. But I had a digital, go back. But it's been a nightmare because trying to get some of the stuff, the originals, the copies of stuff, because you need to go get this or that, has been an absolute nightmare. It has helped that I had a digital, but you just. Again, 2 to 3 days of clothes. And on top of that, you take just the bare necessities. That's not about memories, right? Like, that's the thing. I think everybody would want to grab a memory of this, that, and the other. If you're bouncing, just go. But you don't need food and water unless it's an absolute, world thing or a nationwide thing. You're not going to need any food and water. And you're not going to go anywhere. If it's that, you're not going anywhere. So this is just to get you out, because if you are, let's just say you were stuck in one of these fires. It's one of those things where wherever you end up, they're going to have food, they're going to have water. You know the big problem California's going to have? Housing. There are people right now who are, the people who have means, they're going to be okay. It's the elderly and the average person and the person living right on the edge, probably making only $1 million in California, barely surviving. That person, because there are people going to, people have Airbnbs, and they said, I will rent your place for the next 24 months. Here's $100,000 cash. Even though it may only be $3,000 a month. They want it so bad, they're outbidding people. And everybody's like, well, they're driving up the prices. Some people are doing that. They're taking advantage of stuff. You shouldn't be, but they are. But others, it's like, if I've got a place and somebody comes to me and somebody's offered me $2,000 a month and another person comes up and goes, I'll pay you a year in advance. Here's $60,000. I'm taking that. That's just, what do you expect? But think about all these kids. They've got no school in a lot of these places. And how do they get that back? They've gone through COVID now. Think about it. If you're in 4th or 5th grade and you live in some of these areas, you went through COVID where you missed a couple years of school. Now you are going through, your school burned down and we're living out of a parking lot. Memories, kids, memories. So much stuff to get to. The ceasefire in effect on Sunday. We'll talk a bit more about that. Obesity being redefined. And it's Wednesday, and as you guys are new to the show, we do a little thing called Woke Wednesday, where we look at woke stuff and laugh at it. It is the Chad Benson Show. Supertalk 99.7.
1:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Drivers, be aware, here on the South Loop going eastbound downtown, they've got some pothole repair, and that is really backing things up. Pretty much all the way from, it looks like, Debunking to the 2440 split there east of downtown. The ceasefire in Gaza starts on Sunday. President Biden moments ago.
The deal is structured in 3 phases. Phase 1 will last 6 weeks. It includes a full and complete ceasefire, withdrawal of Israeli forces from all the populated areas of Gaza, and and the release of a number of hostages held by Hamas, including women and elderly and the wounded. And I'm proud to say Americans will be part of that hostage release in phase one as well.
Major news about the stuff we eat and drink here in the U.S. The FDA moving to ban red dye number 3, which is an additive that gives food and drinks a bright cherry red color. Stuff we eat like candy, cakes, cupcakes, frostings. Some studies show red dye number 3 did not cause cancer in people or animals. At least 2 other studies showed a connection in rats. So under Food and Drug Administration regulations, it must revoke the okay for its use as a food additive. The FDA is also responding to a petition from health groups and activists. And here in Tennessee, Governor Lee calling a special legislative session to deal with 3 things: his school voucher bill, disaster relief to Hurricane Helene victims, and what he calls illegal immigration public safety measures to ensure Tennessee is in lockstep with the Trump administration on day one. Democrats accusing Lee of using the disaster relief to strong-arm reluctant Republican lawmakers in East Tennessee.
Governor's Lee decision to tie urgent storm recovery efforts to this deeply unpopular voucher scheme is disingenuous to the people of Tennessee.
Special session starts in 12 days. That'll be on January 27th. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Worried about the kids in their schools. Little snappy there. It's happened. They've come together and said, let's stop fighting. Swapa. That is Prime Minister of Qatar, Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdulrahman Al Thani, saying, hey, it's giving us great pleasure. These guys are going to stop killing each other because, you know, it's ugly. Now, Qatar is a huge supporter of Hamas and not a fan of Israel. So that's why they've allowed for years the leaders of Hamas to live quite comfortably in Qatar. It is going to start on Sunday, though, so there's still time. Somebody who is educated in Europe, obviously. Like a lot of them who are very wealthy, that's what they do. They go to Europe, they're educated there. Hell, even Kim Jong-un spent time in Switzerland. So, will this be lasting? Probably not. Not unless they, really have a way to give the people of Palestine an opportunity to be free, and that is getting rid of Hamas. It's that simple. It's getting rid of Hamas. You get rid of Hamas, doesn't mean that you're going to, girls are going to school, doesn't mean that, you're going to have all of these things that the modern world has that we here in the West do, but it may give them an opportunity to move forward. Biden is very excited about it. Throw himself in there. Hey, it's going to be really good for us. So I'll let you guys know. This is it. Bell and I were talking. They didn't want Trump involved in any of this. And it kind of reminds me of what took place with the Iranian hostages and that. They knew, first of all, the people who took the hostages, if you've ever seen anything or read anything about them, they were students. They didn't think it was going to be 444 days. They're like, dude, I got stuff to do. Secondly,
I haven't seen my barista in almost 6 weeks.
Basically, that's what they were thinking. The other side of it was they knew Reagan was no joke. There was a little fear that several of these leaders and nations had about Reagan, and I think they feel a little bit about Trump. As I said, Trump won't put boots on the ground, but he'll put a missile in your ass. I mean, that's what he will do. There's no doubt about that. But the way that he would do this is he would just look at Netanyahu and go, I don't care what you do. And that's it. These countries survive because we tell them no. Do you think for a second, if there was no real repercussions from Europe and other parts of the world, that Israel couldn't go into Tehran today and just tear it up? Of course they could. So that's a big deal. And Reagan got the same thing, where they recognized, this is probably not going to go the way, we're tired, it's probably not going to go the way that you think, so let's get out of this thing. And they did. Now, whether or not it ends up being lasting is the big thing, because how many of these have we been through in my lifetime? I am 54, and I can remember God knows how many of these fake peace agreements, kind of peace agreements, temporary peace agreements. We're working toward peace agreements, peace agreements. They never end in lasting peace. And it's going to be tough if you don't figure out a way, and by that I mean you, the Middle East, how to somewhat modernize and give people hope for the future in Palestine. This is going to get even uglier. There is no doubt about that. Because people sitting around, if you've lost your mother, your brother, your son, your daughter, your wife, whatever it is, and everybody's been affected by it, and you've got nothing, right? You've got no walls. You've got very little food. You're exposed to the elements most days. You don't have a job. That's the recipe for death and destruction. Because you got nothing to lose. So you're telling me there's a bunch of virgins waiting for me. Ugly. Speaking of ugly, woke is ugly, but it's fun to us. Last night, I, being of sound mind, commented on a video, right? Normally I don't do this, but I thought it was a parody account. And I said that. This has to be a parody account. Lo and behold, it wasn't. And me and this lady, we went back and forth. By the way, she's a very nice lady. And this is all about DEI. And DEI is in the spotlight. Obviously, there are some issues in California, and a lot of people are looking at DEI. It's the white man. It's always about the white man. Because we're the worst. We all know that. I want everybody to understand that. So I thought it was a parody. I said, look, it's a parody account. You know, this has to be a parody, right? Because she got all the rainbow flags and everything. Like she's never not seen somebody who is a person of color and somebody in the LGBT community or whatever. She's never not seen them as a victim. And she commented back, no, and this is why we need this. And I said, let me tell you why DEI fails. It's simple. What started out as an idea of giving people opportunity and chance, which we should all want, giving people some opportunity, turned out to be a white savior complex for a bunch of liberals who push an insane, wackadoo ideology on everybody else to make them, A, feel better, but also to enrich themselves. DEI is all about money. It's all about money. When you put somebody who shouldn't be in a college or a position because they're just not ready for it, not that they can't get there one day, but they're just not ready for it. Thomas Sowell talks about it all the time. Who do you hurt if you put a black kid at MIT into a place where it's super competitive, the best at the world at their ages, and while he's great, he's not up to their par yet, which is most people, and he fails. Who do you hurt? But you don't care. See, that's the thing about a lot of this woke idea. It's not about doing the hard thing. It's not about that. It's about doing what makes you feel good, because that's what it is. It's a job, and it makes you feel good. So if they fail, it doesn't matter, because your goal was just to give them a chance. So it becomes about the advocates. It becomes about the groups that push this stuff. They sell it on everybody else that this is what you have to do, and they go out there and they push it, and it's insane. course we should have people given opportunities, 100%. But let's be real about that. And that's what they don't want to hear. They push it and say, oh, it's only because you're a white guy. That's why you're scared. No, we don't. Meritocracy is great, but it's getting into communities, getting fathers involved again, getting education somewhat involved. Those things are important. Yes, sir.
I love her soft bigotry of, look, there's no way anybody would have ever picked an LGBTQ person because they were qualified. We got to do it because their sexual orientation.
Yeah, that's it. And it's about the checking the box, right? Like even that they did CBS in California did a thing about the fire chief. And in the middle of it, they say, and she checks boxes when it comes to, that's all it is. Because the thing is, if I can get somebody into something, I can go out there and talk to the world. Look at my DEI, how it works. I got so-and-so into this place. I checked a box. Were they qualified? Can they do the job? Because what you're doing is you're setting them up for failure if they can't do the job, which is going to hurt everything. But all they see is that. And that's the thing that makes me laugh is the left doesn't understand. These groups push this on people. They threaten companies. They do these things. And it's not about the outcome. It's about, did I check a box when I needed to so I can feel good? It's like when people go, let's knock over a statue. Yeah, we feel good. You didn't really address the problem. You knocked over a statue. If you think there's structural racism out there, the statue wasn't the one that was leading the structural racism. You didn't do anything. You made yourself feel better on Instagram. Oh, my Lord, Chad. A lot of stuff to get to. We've got some fun stuff coming up. More than just this. They're redefining obesity, people. I'm hoping this one works for me. That's all I'm saying. We got more on what is going on when it comes to the ceasefire as well. And I do believe the governor, call this special session, is going to be with Matt later on today, which will be very interesting. Obviously, the big thing about the vouchers. If you do it right, it's good. But if you do it wrong, man, is the vouchers a mess. But you're calling a special session, it's because you got the votes. Talk about that, bunch of other stuff. It is Chad Benson Show, Supertalk 99.7. Birch Gold. Awesome. Gold in them there heels. Also gold, and maybe in your 401k or your IRA. Everybody should have some gold. It's great to have inflationary protection. If stuff goes south in the market and the weakening of the dollar, we're in debt. Birch Gold's going to help you with that. They're going to send you out a comprehensive guide about what they do, how you get introduced to gold if you've never had it. Top of that, they've got a new guide to gold in the Trump era, which is awesome. It's done forward by Donald Trump Jr. All you have to do to get all of these things is text Benson to 989898. It is always great to have the opportunity to have the physical gold with you, meaning just in case something goes south, maybe this zombie apocalypse, whatever it is, having some of that to protect your downside in the market potentially, the dollar getting hurt, or if you're on the run, it's not a bad thing to have. Why don't you get the free guide? They're not going to high pressure sell you, do any of that stuff. It is simple and easy. All you have to do is text. Text Benson to 989898 today to get the free guide to gold in the Trump era from my friends over at Birch Gold. Text Benson to 989898.
Got a big problem, drivers. It is the South Loop downtown, but it's also affecting northbound 65. It is a crash right there, 65 northbound, where you get to I-40 there at the South Loop. Got 440 eastbound near Nolensville Pike. Also a stalled vehicle blocking the shoulder, 40 westbound at 65. Gaza ceasefire starts Sunday. We got more news than that coming up at 2 on Supertalk 99.7 WTN.
Yes. So they're redefining. I always thought the BMI was stupid, right? It's like you got to be 6'1" and 83 pounds. You're like, what?
Yeah.
I just, people who are like, have 6% body fat, but they're built like a house. They're like, according to this, you're obese. And then you got people who smoke and they drink and they weigh, 125 pounds and they're 5'10", and like, you're at the perfect weight. It's insane. So I'm glad they're doing this, but you know what really helps? Just eating better, working out a little bit more, and staying healthy and thinking, if you could still fit in those pants, you're doing okay. That's it. And again, the eating better. I stress that here, kids. We want to keep you healthy. It's very important.
You got to eat better and move.
Yeah, that is, it's, and you don't have to do a lot.
Nope.
I mean, I think the average person walks like 3,000 steps a day or something. If you watch, I think it's anything over 7,000 is kind of wasted. But if you can get to 7,000 steps, you're doing pretty damn good. It doesn't have to be something crazy. It's just like calories in, calories out. You eat 2,000 calories and you burn 2,300 calories. Well, guess what? Your deficit, 300. You do that over a week, you're going to lose a pound. It's not hard. It's just math. Just math. Math is mathing on that one. The Eagles, this weekend, I watched the game. I don't know if you guys saw any of the Eagles game. There was a woman and her fiancé in the crowd at Lincoln Field. Now, this woman, youngster, she's probably early 20s, and her fiancé were there. They were Green Bay Packers fan. And if you know anything about Philadelphia, it is not nice to opposing people. They booed Santa Claus. They cheered for Michael Irvin's broken neck. They booed Mike Schmidt, for God's sakes. So this guy went off on her. Called her the C word. Wow. Did all kinds of horrific things. To the point where you're like, really? Yeah. They found out who he was.
Uh-oh.
He has been banned for life at the link. So if he wants, let's say there's an opera there tonight or something, he wants to go to it, he can't. On top of that, he works for a big DEI company that specializes in inclusion, and they have since fired him.
He's going to sue them for discrimination.
Yeah. Dropped the C-bomb on her on numerous occasions, and it was awful. And you're thinking, what are you doing, dude? I mean, I get it, like telling you the Packers suck and stuff like that. It's okay. Right. But at what point, why are you going after her? What are you doing? Like, what the? There's cameras everywhere, people. Yeah. That's what we're trying to tell you. Coming up, we got more on the ceasefire. And obviously, news, we got the big special session coming up. I think Matt's going to have the governor in.
Yes, sir.
Governor's at 4:30, and then Mayor Freddie O'Connell is at 5.
Okay, there you go. That's on Matt's show. Coming up, you just got the three of us right here on the Chad Benson Show, Supertalk 99.7.
2 o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Again, drivers, we got a big problem here on the South Loop downtown. We've got a crash. There's 65 northbound right there at 40. Really backing things up if you're eastbound on 40, then northbound 65. Got a crash 440 eastbound near Nolensville Pike. And then a stalled vehicle on the left shoulder at 440 westbound right there at 65. Let's get to the very latest news on Gaza.
This is a special report from ABC News. I'm Michelle Franzen. After more than a year of war in Gaza, sparked by the Hamas attacks on October 7th in Israel, a framework to end the conflict now reached. It follows months of brokered talks. President Biden at the White House moments ago.
Because at long last, I can announce a ceasefire and a hostage deal has been reached between Israel and Hamas.
The first phase would bring the release of 33 hostages, including Americans held for more than 460 days. And later plans include reconstruction of Gaza. ABC's Martha Raddatz has more.
The destruction there is enormous. 2.6 million people, 90%, it is estimated, have been displaced. And Hamas says 46,000 have been killed.
President Biden says elements of the deal are similar to the plan he introduced last May and added his administration, along with the incoming Trump administration, worked with one voice during the final talks.
Well, the FDA is moving to ban a potentially cancer-causing ingredient in our food and drinks to make it have that cherry red look. It's called Red Dye 3. It's in things like cake, cookies, icing, frostings, some drugs we take. At least 2 studies have shown that high levels of the food dye were linked to cancer in rats, but not humans. But an FDA regulation says it cannot authorize color additives found to induce cancer in humans or animals. Here in Tennessee, Governor Lee calling a special session to deal with his school voucher bill that gives tax dollars to families to pay for private school. He says it's going to be also used to approve disaster relief for Hurricane Helene victims in East Tennessee and what he calls illegal immigration public safety measures. It starts in 12 days. $31 million in Social Security payments to dead people has been recovered, according to the Department of Treasury's Bureau of Fiscal Service, where an official says this is just the tip of the iceberg. Congress gave the Treasury temporary access to the Social Security Administration's full death master file for 3 years. It's a file that contains more than 142 million records dating back to 1899. The Treasury projecting it will recover more than $215 million during its 3-year access period, which ends next year. And a group of global experts proposing a new way to define and diagnose obesity.
Obesity would no longer be defined solely by body mass index, a calculation of height and weight. It would be combined with measurements like waist size plus evidence of connected health problems. The reports in the Lancet Diabetes and Endocrinology Journal. It suggests 2 categories: people with clinical obesity, which includes things like heart disease, high blood pressure, liver or kidney disease, would be eligible for treatment. Preclinical obesity would indicate a risk for those types of problems.
About 40% of American adults have obesity, according to the Centers for Disease Control. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey, guys, go see Dr. Mitchell and everybody over there at the Wellness Institute of Nashville. They're awesome. Dr. Mitchell and Dr. Ashley, when you go in there, you are just, I mean, it is incredible what you get to see. The machines, Bell and I have talked about it because, Bell's been out there as well. The machines they put you on, they're awesome. And they've got so many of them. You're never waiting around or anything. They take care of you like nobody's business, and you will absolutely love what they can do for you. So if you've got a back problem and you're not quite sure, and how many of us have had pesky back problems? You continue to go to chiropractor 1,000 times. That one, he just wants to get you coming back and forth. Their thing is lasting. No gels, no creams, none of that stuff. That's what it's all about. Go see them today. It is awesome. Tell them I sent you, because I think you'll be surprised. Wait, that guy sent you? Yeah, because I know, because my back has been hurt before, and you don't want to mess with that. You don't. It's no joke. Same thing with the knees. And because it's 47 coming in, they got a deal for you right now. Go over there. It is awesome. Go see Dr. Mitchell, Dr. Ashley. They'll take care of you at the Wellness Center of Nashville. The governor will be coming in a little bit later. The thing about education, and I know Governor Lee and them are really on it, and I think it's great, because we need to do something. Parents need to have the opportunity to choose what's going on with their kids in school. There's no doubt about that. We want that. You shouldn't be, stuck in situations that are bad. It's just how it's pulled off that matters. That's it. If you give somebody how many times have you guys gone and saw a movie? The script sucks. The director's not good. But the actors, the editors, people with the effects, they manage to pull it off so it's good. It's the same thing. Right? And how many times have you gone, man, that movie should have been great, and it sucked? We were talking the other day. What was that? I was talking to Mason about it. Was that the last Joker movie?
Oh, yeah, garbage. Hot garbage.
Garbage.
After the first one was phenomenal.
Yeah. Academy Award, the whole 9 yards. This one was garbage. Same, you got the same guy, got all this stuff. How you actually implement something is what matters. And there's a lot of questions in this. There's a ton of questions. I have come from a place where California, where the teachers union run everything. I mean, they run everything. As goes the teachers union, so goes you in your political career. I come from a place in Arizona for the last several years where choice is finally there. They got their voucher program, if you will, and it's basically a choice program. The money follows the kid. The issue is how it's implemented. And it wasn't implemented well in Arizona. And it's gone sideways on them as far as how many people used it, how much they're seeing get out of the system, how upside down they are in it. And you also need a thing that is so important, which is results. You need results. Because, my kids are going to school here. So right now they're homeschooled. We got here late, obviously, for this year. So we said they're already in a homeschool, like a hybrid program out in Arizona. So we're going to stick with that. And then, we've got them in some extracurriculars. They make friends and stuff like that. But I want to know, hey, we're putting our kids in certain places. I want to know there's results. What do the results look like? How are they in their test scores? Are they growing? If you don't do it right, it goes to fast. And I'm anxious to see how this thing plays itself out, because there's a ton of questions. But you're not calling a special session if you don't think you have the votes. It's like I've been watching, you had Rubio getting grilled today, and you had, you still have Pam Bondi and the likes of that. They're all getting grilled. Of course, Pete Hegseth yesterday. You're up there because you've got the votes. That's why. You've got the votes. You're there. You're letting them sound off. That's fine. You've got the votes. You're moving on. So they're going to have the votes. No doubt in my mind. The question is, what does it look like a year from now? How do you implement it? Is it chaos? Is it craziness? Is there more of a want for it? Does it pay for itself? I mean, these are all questions that people need to ask because, as everybody knows, go look at politics across the country, red or blue states. A lot of times, it's going to pay for itself. It's going to be awesome. Like we were just somebody hit us up about Freddie O'Connell, and I just laugh because the whole choo-choo train idea is I find it ridiculous. That's a job grift and a tax raise that isn't going to benefit anybody. It isn't. It's crazy that they're still thinking about you, but that's a thing that politicians love. They love choo-choo trains because it's great infrastructure. We get some money from the feds. We can do all this stuff. It's great for jobs. It's cheaper just to go, these are the 2,000 people that hired. Here's $50,000. How things are implemented matter. And we'll find out how this is done. Hopefully, it's done great, but we'll find out. And we'll find out what the results are. And it doesn't need to be perfect. If you're getting if the school that you went to, and you're averaging a 22 on your test, and you're up to a 55, to me, that's a win. If you're at a 50, and you're at a 42 next year, well, that's a loss right there. Oh, yes. Breaking news, if you guys haven't heard. Ceasefire is in place. I love Trump. It's only happened because of me. It was me. Other people, not so much. Me, absolutely. Yeah. And there's no doubt that the incoming administration played a huge part in this because how could you not? You're leaving, and whoever's coming in behind you, well, they could go two ways, right? They could be a friend of Palestine, or they could be a friend of Israel. We know which one he's a friend of. So we knew that there was a worry because they're looking over there and thinking he's going to unleash Bibi. He's not going to try to slow him down. Which is what, Biden played this weird game of sitting on the fence, which was in public, he'd be like, you guys shouldn't do that. You guys need to pull it back a little bit. And in private, he's like, I don't care what you do. But I got to go out and say this. Trump, I think, would unleash Bibi. Say, go, just do whatever you have to do. Destroy him. That's the number one thing. So we're not here in 5 or 10 years. Now the question is, who's alive? Because there are, I don't know how many hostages are actually left that are alive. And that's what it is. It's a 6-week phase. Everything sounds better with the British accent when you're yelling it for no reason whatsoever. I don't know what that looks like. But if you've got a loved one there, the hell that they've gone through in the last, what's it been, 14 months, 16 months, it's incomprehensible. I mean, it is, you can't even fathom, especially for the women who have probably been raped, beaten, raped again. The terror that has gone on there has been, I mean, the stuff of nightmares. So I don't know who's getting released first. I think there are 6 American hostages left. I wouldn't be surprised if, and they must be, and it sounds horrible, they're probably the most prized of the hostages because it's America. And the negotiation for them is much different. And if you've killed some of those hostages and it's Trump, yeah, what does that look like? Ugh. So we'll see. It starts Sunday. I don't know what it looks like, though, because it only takes one moment, one slip, one person who doesn't agree with Hamas, wants to kill all the Jews, is going to blow himself up, period, case closed. One person that Iran sneaks in there who's going to pretend to be Hamas or something because they don't want this to end and they don't want any kind of peace to upend all of this and go right back at it. So there's 3 phases. Phase 1 starts Sunday night. And I don't know. I mean, how many times have we seen this with Ukraine and them where they try to have a ceasefire for like 72 hours and then in like 10 minutes, somebody shoots somebody? Humans. That's all I got to say. Red dye. Now, red dye 3 is gone. Gone. So I'll let you guys know that. People are saying, why not red dye 40? One red dye at a time. So red dye is in everything. Like it really is. It is so much of the crap we were talking about earlier, Belkin and I, about, you know, we ate a lot of crap when we were younger. We ran around. We had asbestos, we got lead paint. We had all that stuff. But our food for the most part, right? Our food for the most part it didn't have the crap it has, the chemicals it has in now. What was your favorite lead paint, Bell?
Always the powder blue.
Always. Yeah, that stuff was good. It was easy on your stomach, I'll tell you that right now. Do you remember when you used to go to school, like lead paint on the walls? They would do the printer, and the paper would come, and it'd be kind of wet. You're like,
I loved it.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's just, we ate, and we hung out with so much stuff that was, I used to follow the garbage truck when I was a kid. Right? I used to follow there was a truck that would shoot like DDT for the mosquitoes. We just thought it was neat. We'd follow it. It's getting on us. We didn't care.
Oh, yeah. My friends and I, we'd hop on our bikes and we would follow it over to the next block.
Yeah.
Just breathing it in and laughing.
But the food was pretty fresh. And, you know, like you were talking about your grandparents, you know, they lived a long time and they ate a bunch of this crap. But the difference is they didn't eat all day, and the chemicals in the real food that they ate throughout the day just wasn't there.
Yeah, my grandfather grew his own garden, and my grandfather and grandmother on my dad's side, they grew their own garden, and they fried everything. But it was still from the ground in my grandfather's yard, and they lived into their 90s.
Yeah. And we need to change our eating habits. That's it. And it's simple things. But that is definitely a big deal. You know, we talked yesterday about dementia. Don't think that these chemicals and stuff, when we look at it, like, because it's about selling addiction is the thing we've talked about for a long time. You sell the addiction. And the addiction is what tobacco people wanted. And that's what they did with the food. The Nabiscos and all these things. They sell that addiction. They put the chemicals in there that go whoop with your brain. And then you crave stuff like Doritos. I love Doritos. They're awesome.
Oh, they are.
The chemicals in there, oh, my Lord. I don't even know what's in there.
Yeah.
I just had an energy drink, which I love. I don't even want to look at the chemicals. It doesn't say, you know, it's not 2 or 3 lines. It's like 12 lines of stuff that looks Latin.
So we got to get government to protect you from yourself, man.
Well, no, just, you know, a little regulation every once in a while. Not so much regulation, but this is on us to eat better, but also, let's remember, government puts a lot of the stuff out there. That's the funny thing. They have lobbyists who are great at lobbying government, who then decide, the FDA, that this is good or this is bad. They decided in 1990, hey, red dye number 3 in makeup, yeah, that's not good, but you can consume it. What? So I can't wear it as my rouge, but I can eat it. More on what is going on in the Middle East. Also, some updates on the big hearings today. Plus, I'm going to set the record straight on a few things. A lot of conspiracy theories out there when it comes to the fires in California. And we got a new segment. We're going to do that straight ahead. It is Supertalk 99.7. Raycon, best earbuds around. Wear my Raycons every day. Fit, incredible. You get 6 soft gel tips with these things. They're awesome, right? They come in this really cool case. You flip them up, and there's 6 different soft gel tips, so you get the perfect fit. Then you get sound quality, which is second to none, and the price isn't going to break the bank. You get a 30-day happiness guarantee. I love audio. I work in it. I live in it all day. And having these on, they're incredible. They really are. If you love audio like I do, you're going to want to try these things. 15% off right now. 30-day happiness guarantee, 8 hours of talk time, 32 hours of battery life, active noise cancellation, multi-connectivity. I can go on and on. Try it for yourself. Start well under $100. Go to buyraycon.com/Chad. That's buyraycon.com/Chad. 15% off right there. Buyraycon.com/Chad.
Checking our traffic situation, still got that crash 65 northbound right there at 40 south. That is on the South Loop. 440 eastbound near Nolensville Pike, then 440 westbound at I-65. And red dye isn't the only thing the FDA is dealing with today. We'll tell you what the federal agency wants to do to your cigarettes.
Oh, for the love of God. I don't smoke, but it just sounds like something crazy.
It's coming up at 2:30 on Supertalk 99.7 WTN.
There goes my cool filter kings.
Wait till you hear the story, though. It's just going to infuriate you.
It's going to infuriate me. I can't wait. That's why you guys got to stick around. You guys I'm new, right? You guys are getting to know me. And some of you, you're like, you're a liberal. I'm not a liberal, but thank you for asking. I appreciate that. I'm fine. Some of you are like, you're going to be in trouble because we were talking last hour about DEI and something I said. I said, that's not what I said. That's what Thomas Sowell said. I'm all about truth. I want to know what the truth is, even if it goes against the belief that I have in something. Okay, that matters to me. Because if you can't face things that go against your beliefs, it's not a good place to be. And I'll tell you this right now. I am about information, not affirmation. Which brings us to a new segment of the show. And there is so much BS out there. And several of you have hit me up over the last 48 to 72 hours when it comes to what is going on in California. Because everything that happens, some people live in the world of conspiracies. And they're living there. Everything is a conspiracy. Let's start with, we're going to go with this one here about the fires. It's not true. It's fake. All of that is baloney. None of that is real. Put out there by a bunch of people who want to put out a bunch of disinformation. Look, California looks bad already. You don't have to do anything else. They stopped in Sacramento for 15 to 20 minutes to get essentially a quick tune-up, make sure they work, because those trucks aren't used to driving for hours. They weren't there for days. They didn't do any of that stuff. It went straight down there. Same thing with their airplanes. Here's another one of my favorite things that I've been told over the last couple days. They don't. None of that was true. Russian websites put that out the same way they did last year for Zelensky's wife having a Bugatti and all of that stuff. It's all about disinformation to get everybody riled up. Yes, sir.
She had a breast augmentation, too, and the scuttlebutt was that our tax dollars paid for that, too, which I seriously doubt.
No. It is all about getting people riled up, and it works, because I've gotten texts from you guys over the last couple of days. Look at the Ukrainian thing. Look at what they're doing. None of that stuff's real. Again, we're going to set it straight. We are, and it's tough because it's easy to see that this thing looks legit. And it's easy to replicate, and people put it out there, but you got to question stuff, and that's one thing I tell everybody every single day. If you really believe in your ideas, if you really believe in whatever it is, politics, your ideas when it comes to issues, it's social, whatever it is, you're willing to challenge those things. But not everything is a conspiracy. There's enough conspiracies out there. There are so many conspiracies. And California doesn't need help looking bad. They do that fine. They do it absolutely fine. But finding out what's real and what's not real, you should want to do that. And some people, they put stuff out there because the goal is to get you to believe anything. Other people, they share stuff because they think it's real and it looks legit. They're not doing it on purpose. Not hard. Just take a little 5-10 seconds, Google a couple stuff, DuckDuckGo something, whatever you need to do to find out if it's real or not. That's simple, kids. We just like you to be aware of stuff. Well, if it's true, it's true. If it's not true, I'll tell you. I'll tell you that right now. Coming up, talk a little bit about maybe the economy. Oh, baby, the economy. We got the numbers. We'll also look at what's going on as the senators are grilling some prospective cabinet people. What does that look like? Well, I'll tell you what it looks like. It looks like not as fireworky as yesterday. This is the Chad Benson Show, Supertalk 99.7.
2:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Again, drivers, we've got a crash. 65 northbound right there at 40, the South Loop, and eastbound is backed up all the way beyond 440. Northbound 65 is backed up to 440. Full forecast coming up in 5 minutes. A preliminary deal has been reached by Hamas and Israel starting on Sunday to pause the fighting in Gaza, release some hostages, and to pave the way for additional negotiations that would permanently end the fighting there, according to President Biden.
There was no other way for this war to end than with a hostage deal. And I'm deeply satisfied this day has finally come, for the sake of the people of Israel and the families waiting in agony.
President Biden says his team has been coordinating closely with President-elect Trump's incoming team along the way. Artificial red number 3 dye in food like candy, cakes, cupcakes, frozen desserts, frostings, icings, certain drugs we take being banned in the U.S. for its potential cancer risks. Manufacturers have until January 27th to reformulate the food, while those who use the dye in drugs, they'll have until 2028. That's not all the FDA is moving to do. It's proposing a plan to reduce nicotine in nearly every tobacco product you smoke. Cigarettes, most cigars, pipe tobacco. They want to reduce it by 95%, from 13 milligrams to 0.07 milligrams. And here in Tennessee, Governor Lee calling a special session to deal with the Freedom of Education Act to give families state tax dollars to send their kids to private schools. 2 other issues Governor Lee wants lawmakers to use the special session for: disaster relief for Hurricane Helene victims, and address what he calls illegal immigration public safety measures to ensure Tennessee stands ready to support the Trump administration on day one. Special session starts in 12 days. By the way, Governor Lee is going to join WTN's Matt Murphy Show at 4:30. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Rough Greens, ruffgreens.com. Go there now and try a Jumpstart trial bag for free. Now, you're asking yourself, what is it, Chad? It's a powder supplement you give to your dog or your cat. Meow Greens or Rough Greens. Sprinkle on top of their food. You don't have to do anything crazy. You don't have to get them new food or anything. And watch what it does for them. Over the period of the next several weeks, when you continue to give them Rough Greens, you watch how it improves their health in so many ways. From their aches and pains maybe in their joints, a little bit longer in their tooth, to their skin and their fur, their teeth, their gums, their digestive tract. And if they have lethargy, they won't. It is awesome. Simple and easy. Like I said, you don't have to change a thing. Vitamins, minerals, probiotics, omega-3, 6, 9, all this incredible stuff packed into this one amazing supplement. So whether you have a cat, Meow Greens, or a dog, Rough Greens, try a Jumpstart trial bag. A $20 value, free for you. Just cover the cost of shipping. ruffgreens.com. Use code Chad. Ruffgreens.com. Use code Chad. We're nicotine free. That's how far we've gone.
95% nicotine free.
95%. What are they going to do with the patches? Don't they have nicotine in them too? Is that?
Yeah.
Are they going to do something with the patches?
I don't know. I mean, that could be actually considered a medication of sorts because it's meant to help you break the habit. But knowing government, they'll screw that up.
It says combustible.
Oh, so, okay. So combustible.
So
So
I
it's
can
the
burn a
stuff you
patch, baby.
smoke.
I know how to burn a patch.
Bell K, ladies. By the way, don't be mad at Bell. The reason you're not hearing some of the audio online is because I screwed up and played The Village People earlier. And we don't want to get Bell in trouble.
Yeah, I can't use music on the internet because we don't have the proper licenses.
Yeah. This is all licensing. It's the way it works here. So that's why. Now, everybody, tell me if you hear this, okay? This is today.
I turned it back on.
Okay, here we go.
The direction he has given for the conduct of our foreign policy is clear. Every dollar we spend, every program we fund, every policy we pursue must be justified by the answer to one of three questions. Does it make America safer? Does it make America stronger? Or does it make America more prosperous?
Marco, he's going to get through, not worried about that. I think everybody expected that. I was watching Dick Durbin today saying, look, Marco, I've known him for years. We've worked a lot of bills together. We don't see eye to eye on some stuff, but respects him. Pam Bondi, it was not as contentious as yesterday with Pete Hegseth. And the goal here, remember, it's about the people asking the question. It's not about the answer that you give. But you could just say something wacky, and it wouldn't matter. And hey, side note, everybody, side note. Pam Bondi, right? 60. She's almost 60. Little nice on the eyes.
I was on the ground in Pennsylvania, and I saw many things there. But do I accept the results? Of course I do. Do I agree with what happened? And I saw so much, no one from either side of the aisle should want there to be any issues with election integrity in our country. We should all want our elections to be free and fair and the rules and the laws to be followed.
I think that question deserved a yes or no. And I think the length of your answer is an indication that you weren't prepared to answer yes.
And that was about, do you think Donald Trump won? Do you believe it?
I was an advocate for the campaign, and I was on the ground in Pennsylvania, and I saw many things there. But do I accept the results? Of course I do.
But that you didn't say yes. Because the thing is, can we get Donald Trump mad? You know what? If I was Donald Trump, I'd tell him, go and say whatever you need to say. Let's just get this over and done with. Really? Yeah. If I was her, I'd say, hey, I'm going to tell him this. And he'd be like, okay, just go out there and say, you know what? Let me answer this question. I did talk to Donald, the president, 47th president. Yeah, you guys lost. And I told him, I think that Biden won. And they would have, what would they have said? And Donald would have been laughing at the president. And we'd all moved on. Because none of this stuff matters. This is all show.
If you genuinely believe that somebody won and your reaction to that is, oh, well, you might want to consider how important that turnout really was to you. Because if it doesn't make you angry, if you think a guy faked his way into the White House, no matter who you're voting for,
yeah,
and it doesn't make you mad, then there's an issue there.
Look, I've always said this. There were real questions. My question was after the last election, because, again, it's gone. Nothing I can do to change it. There was nothing in the Constitution to change it. Biden could have come out and said, we cheated. Nothing was going to happen. That being said, Trump should have put better people in place to fight the argument that needed to be. Sidney Powell was not it. And neither was Giuliani.
Was she, I'm going to release the Kraken?
Yeah.
We got no Kraken?
No Kraken.
Where's my Kraken?
No Kraken. And then in Arizona, because let's remember, I came from a state, kids, where we had the cyber ninjas. And oh, boy, they were useless. That cost the state a bunch of money. And it made the Republicans look like idiots because, once again, the people that led the charge were the wrong people to do it. They were. They were the wrong people. If you believe something really happened and you think you can get proof, then you go about setting out with people that you know can uncover the truth. Not the Sidney Powells of the world. Not these people that were grifting. No. And let me tell you something, because I was down several occasions, down to where the ninjas were. The way that thing went was ridiculous. They tried to count stuff by hand. They couldn't get it done in the right way. The conspiracy. Here, let me tell you some of the conspiracy theories we got from them. Oh, my, from the people working around them. That they moved in, this is one of my favorite guys. They moved in the voting machines. The votes would be tabulated, and they would all go for Trump, basically. Then the floor would open up, another machine would come up, and then they would replace that machine. The other one would go down, and they would do what? They would have only Biden's results. That was one of the things. The other one was, and this may have been my favorite, one of the big politicians locally out there is a chicken. His family is like a big chicken farming family. Their place caught fire, killed all of these chickens. This was maybe my favorite, that the ballots were fed to the chickens. Then once the chickens had eaten it, they burned all of the chickens.
Because they had to fight bird flu, right?
Yeah, because the guy's like, you know what would be great? Let's just ruin my life, ruin my family's farm, destroy everything.
Because we want to take care of the party.
Exactly. None of it matters. What matters is what happens starting Monday and going forward. That's the only thing that matters.
And what you can prove.
That's
if
it.
You can't prove it, you got nothing.
You know, that's one of the great things. I forgot that movie. That was a movie with Gerard Butler and Jamie Foxx, where he was like the spy and his family got killed and he just went on a revenge path. And it was so bizarre. But Jamie Foxx was the DA, and he says, it's not what I know, it's what I can prove. And that's the truth. You got to be able to prove something. But if you're going to do that, send the right people. Man, my favorite thing out of all of that was Rudy Giuliani held a press conference.
Hair dye? Yes.
At the Four Seasons, okay? It was the Four Seasons Lawn and Garden. It was not the hotel. It was in like a strip mall. They were a small little landscaping company. This is where they kept all of their mowers and stuff like that. That's not a way to win.
He was just standing there in front of the camera watching that hair dye just dribble down his face while he's giving a speech.
That is, to this day, one of the oddest press conferences I have ever watched.
It says a lot about what was going on those last days. You know, and part of it was you felt you were on some sort of time constraint, right? You had to get it done because January 6th was coming and all this stuff. I get that. But, man, think about this. Rudy Giuliani, who's lost everything now. The guy's lost everything. What's he owe? Like $123 million to two ladies from Georgia?
148, I believe it is.
$148 million.
But come on, guys. What's a couple tens of millions between friends here? Let's not
He didn't
get
have
crazy.
tens of millions. He's got to give back his Yankees World Series ring.
I think they've already impounded his personal possessions to auction, haven't they?
Yeah. If you're those ladies, you're thinking to yourself, hey, can I have his condo? And because that's the big thing, his condo, and is it Florida?
Yeah, don't sell the condo. Just get me that straight up.
Yeah. But why? Because you pushed for something that you were trying to make him happy. And again, go find it, bring it, prove it. You can think it all day, but proof matters. And don't send a fool to do people's work. And that was also a huge issue. It really was. Several of you have chimed in also about Law Abiding Citizen was the name of that movie. God, that was a great movie. Gerard Butler kills a whole bunch of people in that movie in weird ways. Just brilliant movie. But again, what could you prove? In the movie, two guys killed his family. One of them got the death penalty. The other one got away. Both of them did it. But he says, I couldn't prove that other one. So there you go. Oh, my. A few of you have chimed in. As we were talking earlier about, like, truth and BS because of all the stuff that's out there. And several of you said, yeah, it's tough when you challenge your beliefs. I try to do it every day. Like, I go out and challenge my beliefs all the time because I think it's important. Because if my belief is what I think it is, it's going to stand totally fine. If it's not, then it'll crumble. That's why I always tell everybody this difference between the liberals and the Republicans when it comes to going on shows. Republicans will go on just about anything. Bill Maher always talks about it. I can invite a Republican, he's showing up. It's going to be 3-on-1 in the stage, and everybody in the crowd's not going to like him, but they'll show up. Won't get the same thing from liberals. Very rarely you see them cross the line, if you will. And it shouldn't be that way. It shouldn't, but it is. Oh, yes. We do have a ceasefire. It goes into effect on Sunday. And this is between Israel and Hamas. Biden said earlier that the Trump administration incoming played a vital role in it as well. They got it done. How long it lasts, I couldn't tell you. They said there's 3 phases in this thing. How many people are going to be hostage-wise? What's happening, brother? You can talk to me. I'm good with that. Matt's in here, by the way. Looking dapper. How many people are going to be released in the first batch of the hostages? Again, I couldn't tell you. I don't know how many of them are still alive. I think there's about 100. I think there's 6 Americans. And so what this looks like from phase 1 to phase 2, phase 3, and what goes on with Gaza. How do you rebuild that? How do you give people hope? Because the more hope you give them, the more responsibility, the more of a future, the less likely they're to blow themselves up on a bus, is what I'm saying. If you got a 3-bedroom, 2-bath mortgage and kids and your life is good, you know what? I was thinking about it, but I'm going to pass on blowing myself up. We'll wrap it up. Matt's in here. He's got the governor coming on a little bit later. It is the Chad Benson Show, Supertalk 99.7. We're wrapping it up here on the Chet Benson Show on this beautiful Wednesday. Matthew!
I have to clean up my mouth. And let me tell you why. Not because I want to clean up my mouth, because I kind of like having a potty mouth. I have to clean up my mouth because Benson doesn't tell you when the mics go back on.
Oh.
I've noticed that about you. And I kind of like that, but I just have to watch myself because I threw down an F-bomb like milliseconds.
Did you?
Milliseconds before he popped
I didn't even hear that.
No, it went out of the air.
Well, that's,
I didn't even hear that.
Nice knowing you fellas.
One time, I dropped an F-bomb on the air. I was doing something, I was thinking about something else, and it was about donuts. And they go, donuts are effing great.
I did it in the middle of a traffic report in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
What'd you do?
I said, well, right now on 4th Street downtown, what the F do you think you're doing? A skateboarder, a kid on a skateboard came right out in front of me, and I drove around in a news vehicle and did traffic.
Oh, nice.
And anyway,
Please tell me you hit them.
No, I didn't.
Ken.
Did you have to apologize?
No, didn't have to do a thing.
You know, I had to apologize to a guy and his kid because it got reported. Like, out of all my stations, like one.
So my story along those lines is, you know, I there was a time when I would allow listeners to get under my skin a little bit more than I do now, believe it or not, or callers particularly. And I had this one guy that was just annoying the mess out of me. And I said, I forget his name. It was Dave. I said, Dave, do you understand how radio works? You understand that we have a delay system, right? And and he was like, what? He didn't know what I was talking about. So I went through. I was like, we have a delay. It's about an 8 to 10 second delay. And so I have the ability to eliminate things that people might say on the air. And I'm going to do something I've never done before, Dave. I'm going to dump myself because I have something to say to you, and you're the only one that's going to hear it, buddy. And I told him to go bleep himself, and of course we dumped it, and we thought it was all good, and then I go to the next caller, and the next caller's laughing. He's like, "There ain't no delay on the hold line." Anyway, felt very good.
You got to watch it because people freak out. You know,
People
like,
do.
oh my God, it's. I said something like the first or second day, and somebody's like, "You're a cursor." I'm like, "What are you talking about?"
Matt's story is one of my all-time favorite radio stories, though. The fact that you were proactive enough to curse him and dump him yourself.
No, well, yeah. I felt he needed to hear it.
I have my own button. And so when I'm doing my national show, if I really want to drop one, I will do it at the same time.
I just lay one down because there's something about it.
It is. Well, sometimes it is called for because what is happening, like today, if this is real about Israel, that's a big effing deal.
That's a big effing deal.
It's
I agree.
absolutely.
Not according to the FCC, it's not.
Yeah.
But it's really, at this point in the proceedings, based on context, it's really only 2 words.
Yeah. Yeah.
F-bomb and S-bomb.
Yeah, that's it.
I mean, you could, in the proper context, get away with just about anything else.
Yeah.
You know?
People
if you wanted to. I wouldn't push it.
I've said Richard on more than 100 occasions. I don't care.
Oh,
anymore.
yeah, sure.
You know, but I don't. And, a-hole, I don't really try. But, yeah, it's context. And it's weird, too, because we have a watershed that we don't really try here in this country. Because when I was in England, it's weird. Like, at 8 o'clock, everything goes.
Right.
So it doesn't matter. Because they're like, if your kid's up that late, that's on you.
At 8 o'clock, everything goes, unless you want to point out that they're raping everybody out there. And in that case, nothing goes.
Nothing goes. What are you talking about at your big show? I know
we got
the governor's coming here. I just saw the advance team.
The advance team stopped by. They wanted to make sure that they had the exit strategy going. So Governor Billy will be on around 4:30 or so. We expect him at 4:15, so I'm saying 4:30, and he'll probably be here at 4:45. Who knows? And then Freddie O'Connell, the mayor of Nashville, is going to stop by to talk to us about license plate readers and his transit tax got through, whether he's raising property taxes, all of those things concerning Davidson County.
Oh, God, I swear. What is it? Politicians love the choo-choo trains because it's jobs. And they think we're going to get money and infrastructure and this, that, and the other. And then nobody ever rides the damn thing.
No.
Dude, don't be dissing that 19th century tech now. Come on.
Since I have been doing this job, which is a long time, you've been doing it a long time as well, politicians have been describing to us how they're going to, ultimately, we're going to make bus riding cool.
No.
Or we're going to make bus riding attractive. People do not ride the bus because they want to, ever.
Ever.
People ride the bus because they have to.
Mm-hmm.
So if people have alternative means of transportation, they are going to use those alternative means of transportation. And I don't care if they have to sit in traffic for 30 or 40 or an hour.
You want to put a high-speed rail from here to Memphis that goes 300 miles an hour, well, that might be cool.
I'll talk to you.
Yeah, but if you want to tear up all the roads out here, make everybody's business harder to get to so 4 people can ride it. And by the way, if you haven't smelled urine, get ready to, because for whatever reason, people think trains are a great place to pee.
I'd rather the high-speed rail go to Knoxville instead of Memphis.
Anywhere.
If you want to smell poo vomit.
That's it.
Which is the second time I've said poo vomit.
If you want to have somebody go, hey, are you wearing my underwear? This may be the place for you.
So we're doing that, and obviously we're getting into the ceasefire, the agreement, the tentative agreement between Israel and Hamas, all of those things happening, the special sessions happening. We'll talk to the governor about that. It's all to come.
Awesome party. Matt is straight ahead. You guys have a blessed rest of your Wednesday. It is Chad Benson Show. Supertalk 99.7.